Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Wife had affair with family member. Advice. My wife of 16 years had an inappropriate relationship with my father's brother, uncle, for a 3-month period back in 2018. He worked his way into her life by essentially grooming her. Okay, I agree that seduced may have been the better word here. She trusted him, and ultimately opened up to him for advice, texting, emails, phone calls. Then he would throw in compliments and flirtatious comments. He convinced her they were soulmates. She was naive and took the bait, and before long they were meeting up, kissing, and later I came to find out getting more sexually active. No sex, which is what I believe. I discovered this affair and confronted both of them. Big intervention between wife, uncle, my father, his brother, and my aunt, uncle's wife. Kept it pretty quiet outside of this small group for obvious reasons, embarrassment factor and keeping people's reputations intact with rest of family. Wife and I did a lot of counseling, spoke with our priest, etc. Unfortunately last month I found another email, and discovered they had been secretly communicating for 2+ more years behind everyone's backs. Early 2019 until July 2021. Using apps like Telegram, burner emails, and secret photo apps. Apparently after a few months of no contact they relapsed. I kept quiet for 3 weeks observing behavior and confronted my wife with a letter telling me to come clean or we are done. She spilled the beans. While there was no admission of intercourse, there were more meetings, oral sex, clarification, only once and it was him to her, and various hookups during the days, nights they could sneak off for a couple hours to see each other. They met only a handful of times over this 2-year period, at bars usually, and would get physical in the car afterwards. One time they met at a hotel, which is where the OS came into play. Lots and lots of texts and calls, phone sex, and exchanging photos. COVID slowed them down some too. I confronted my uncle with this information. He denied it until I had him pinned and he confessed. He also told his wife. Although he is lying about much of the physical stuff, calling my wife a liar, and his wife is actually believing him. My wife and I are separated, and going through therapy. Lots of it. We have 2 kids. I'm having a really hard time understanding how I can continue this marriage with so much betrayal and deceit. I know we can try, but I'm afraid I will be haunted by this forever and never trust again. The family aspect just magnifies the impact this is going to have on my life. Anyone out there experience anything like this? Seeking any words of wisdom. Note, my wife has many great qualities and is otherwise a good person. She has just made some terrible, selfish and stupid decisions. Adding more here, she is incredibly remorseful, and a complete wreck. Ashamed, disgusted at herself. She wants the marriage bad. Final comment, I figure we are over, but I don't make major decisions without knowing everything I can first. I have spoken with multiple attorneys and am getting a clear picture of what divorce will look like, alimony, etc. We are working with a mediator to draft terms of a trial separation agreement. See where we stand after a couple months separated. In the meantime we are doing lots of therapy to understand why this happened and give me time to process. On the fence. Oral sex is sex. They had intercourse. Don't kid yourself. Sorry this has happened to you. I would think after another 2 years of cheating and lying to you, the divorce would be initiated. In fact, it should have been initiated 2 years ago. Sir, this is your uncle doing this. They did more than oral sex, for sure. Adults that cheat for 2 years and meet every time they can don't just kiss and have oral sex once. Don't be naive. Your wife is a bad person, not only for cheating, but for continuing once she was caught. Also, how old is she? At least 35? You don't groom a grown adult. She knew exactly what she was doing the whole time. She She's just embarrassed now that she got caught a second time ducking her husband's uncle, and is terrified that information is going to come out. If she was a good person that made a mistake, she would have stopped after being caught the first time. Are you kidding me? She kept sexting your uncle. She has no respect for you nor your family. Get the divorce information and don't look back. She's not fit to be your partner. She may be a good mother, but she's a gross role model for your kids. I would give this an award if I could afford to. I think you summed everything up perfectly and are spot on. Especially the grooming part. Op is so desperate to forgive his wife, he is essentially pinning this entire thing on his uncle, and it takes two to tango. Why people try to push past not only one but multiple affairs, I will never understand. She's not a good mother unleashing this humiliation on her family. The kid will hear about this shit and be so ashamed and embarrassed. Not a good mother at all. This is so true. Do they not consider this when doing it? Or do they just think they won't get caught? Weird. If I'm not mistaken, there was a post from a guy whose wife was groomed to an affair with his father, but I have no idea what happened in the end. And the post was from a very long time ago. I don't know if this is helpful to you, but you might search for it. With that being said, you write that your wife is a good person? Okay, I understand why you might be inclined to believe that. But do me a favor, find the late Christopher Hutchins's explanation about the so-called inner witness, watch it and ask yourself, if your wife is a good person, as you claim, then where was hers? Where was her inner witness when she cheated on you for more than 2 years? You'll answer many questions when you do that. Probably ones you do not want answered. Also, you will discover many truths that honestly were right in front of your very eyes. And those won't be pretty ones either. But in the interest of the truth, I have to ask, what is your plan for the future? Do you want to leave your wife or to reconcile, or do you still believe that this is possible? Thoughtful face. How is this not at least 100 upvotes yet? Well laid out. Thank you, I will look those up. I love my kids and feel we could attempt reconciliation, however concerned about quality of life thereafter. I have all I need to justify divorce. Just need to process before I decide one way or another. Take it from someone who stayed and reconciled with my wife after her affair. It only gets worse. Much worse. I promise you that no matter how much you try to trust her, you never will. Also, cheaters tell you what they want you to know to try and lessen the impact of what they did. They love to say it was to protect your feelings. Believe me and thousands of others on this site. They had sex. There is always more to the story. Grown adults do not stop at making out or only oral sex. It went all the way. No matter what she tells you, there is always more that she will never tell you. She has mentally checked out of the marriage years ago. And when you got her to stay in 2018, she lost all respect for you as a man. When you are willing and wanting to stay together after she has cheated, at that moment you gave her permission to check on you anytime she wants. Take it from me. I played the pick-me dance. I begged and pleaded. Years later I realized that I actually saw her lose respect for me on her face. I should have manned up and left. Instead, the marriage got so much worse and we divorced anyway. So I lost a wife and gained a roommate that stayed for 18 years. The last 16 of which she refused sex or intimacy of any kind. With me, that is. So trust me. It hurts like hell. But don't waste another minute of your life on her. Or you will regret it. It sucks, but it gets a little better every day once you get her out of your life. Thanks for sharing. I endured emotional and mental agony for 4 years trying to save my marriage to my cheating ex because I loved him and wanted to keep our family together, so I understand where your mind is at. But the truth is that ultimately, once the foundation of trust in your marriage is shattered by betrayal, there are very few couples who can stay together to rebuild and create a new foundation that brings happiness and trust. I know that if I hadn't tried my absolute hardest to save my marriage, I would have always wondered what if. So even though it was torture, I am still glad I closed the door for my own sanity and peace of mind. you seem like a similarly minded person, so I do think it's good that you attempted a reconciliation after the first revelation, because you can now move on without any regrets or questions. I also know that you love your wife and want to believe her when she tells you that she's remorseful and fully committed to saving your marriage. I was the same way with my ex-husband. But the harsh truth is that if she was genuinely repentant, she would never have kept the affair going for 2 more years. And she is still trickle-truthing you, expecting you to believe they never had intercourse over all the times they hooked up. You already gave her a second chance after the first discovery of the affair, and she completely dismissed your feelings and boundaries and violated your marriage vows over and over again only a few months into it. She has shown you who she is, and it's time you admit the painful truth to yourself. She does not love you, she is not committed to your marriage, and she is not sorry for cheating on you. She is also not a victim of grooming by your uncle. She is a grown adult who knowingly chose to betray you each and every time she communicated with him, exchanged pictures with him, kissed him, or had sex, of any kind, with him. Every step of the way your wife had a choice, and she chose your uncle, not you. It hurts so bad that you feel physical pain, like your heart is being ripped in two. I know this, we all know this here, because we have all been there at one time or another. And we have all struggled to reconcile the spouse we loved and trusted with the one that betrays us, lies to us, toys with our emotions, and tries to gaslight us into thinking we're crazy for ever doubting them. For your own health and happiness though, you must be honest with yourself about who your wife really is, and what her true emotions are towards you. I think that once you can clearly see who and what she is, then, a second reconciliation will no longer seem like a viable option to you. Wow, thank you for sharing this. Do your kids know what happened? What will your relationship be like now? What will you model for them? It's my contention that it's better to grow up from a broken home than to live in one. I also believe it's very dangerous to model gross abuse, which is what your wife has done, without any inconsistencies. I believe sometimes staying together is not the moral choice, if the abuse is too great. Better to give them an example of someone who defends the innocent, even if the innocent is yourself. Finally, kids grow up, life goes on. What will your quality of life be? The kids don't know. I agree that it is better for them to grow up in 2 happy homes versus 1 unhappy home. How old? 10, M, and 12, F. That's really rough, I'm sorry. They are old enough to know the basics. You should let them know, so this could be a constructive lesson for them about consequences for horrible behavior. Jerry. Yup. Can't make this shit up. If you sleep with her, have sex with her, in the court of law that means you forgive her. Never thought of that. Generally, I tend to be more constitutionally sympathetic, at least to the possibility of reconciliation, than many who post here, but in this case I can't possibly think that there is anything to salvage. This is a crossing of the Rubicon, and there's no turning back. It would have been just plausible to reconcile, though only just, after the first confrontation in 2018, though only assuming that your wife showed true remorse, and with acknowledgement that at least initially your wife gradually allowed herself to be pulled into something she couldn't stop. Even then it would have been unlikely. But after this second disclosure, it's done. I'm so sorry, and I commend you for your obvious integrity and concern for your family. By the way, is your wife remorseful now? Is she offering the same excuse? What has she said about continuing the affair and perpetuating the deceit? And what about your father? What does he say now? Sorry again. Very remorseful. She says the reason they picked back up is that they were both depressed from what happened last time. Didn't take long before the texts turned romantic. That's ducking bullshit. She's upset that she got caught. You know what to do. And it's well within being a Christian. You can forgive, but there must be serious consequences. So what she told you is it's just a matter of time until they get depressed about this time and do it again. That's a concern. She claims it's over for good. Likely because he showed his true colors in round 2 by trying to throw her under the bus to his wife and me. Now she sees him as we do. Doesn't change her responsibility. Stupidest shit I've ever seen. Risking everything. Wow, I'm surprised she didn't realize his true colors when he was cheating on his wife with his nephew's wife. Was she risking anything really though? You already showed her that this wasn't a boundary by taking her back the first time. Now you're reinforcing it by not immediately starting divorce proceedings. She's an idiot. No sir, you are the idiot. I'm sorry, but she has never been punished for her actions, and hubby will take her right back when she gets caught and help her and uncle keep their dirty little secret. So when you finally wake up, please let us know. You do not realize how much we're actually rooting for you. Next time it will be someone else who won't throw her under the bus. To be honest, why would your aunt believe your cheater? She believes her cheater, and you believe yours. Right. My wife admitted to the gross physical stuff. He's denying it. He's saying my wife is making it up just to hurt him. She has nothing to gain by making these things up. I think the aunt wants to believe she's making these things up because that allowed her to try and save her marriage. However, deep down I think she believes them to be true. He's been caught lying about a lot of things, so he cannot be trusted. I'm sorry she was depressed about what happened last time? You mean about being caught cheating on their souls with each other? You realize she admitted they were depressed because they were caught and couldn't continue, right? There is no way they were depressed cause they betrayed their souls, because if that was it they wouldn't have started the affair again. She could have talked to you any time but didn't. Don't fall for this. Edit, what's to stop them from getting depressed again and going back to each other again? Agree. Based on my research, it seems that cheating has a similar effect on the brain as drugs. Withdrawals and relapse, then once they got a hit of that again it was on. Exactly. Also, this wasn't some random person, this was your uncle. If you gave her another chance you'll still have to see them interact, and you'll constantly wonder if they are doing it again since they did it twice. And only stopped cause they were found out. You'll constantly wonder who she's with, what she's doing, where she is, if she's just better at hiding it this time. That is no way to live. What also gets me is she says she isn't in love with him, which obviously would suck if she was, but then she disrespected you and your marriage just because. Also think about it this way. If this was happening to one of your children, what would you tell them? What would you want them to do? I am so sorry you are going through this. You and your kids deserve much better. Thanks. There will be no further interactions with me and my uncle. He has been effectively cut out of my life, and my father's life, forever. My question is, where was any guilt, remorse during her cheating? Why is it when she got caught? Sorry you have to go through this. Thanks. She claims to have called it off several times throughout the 2 years. But he would reach out and pick things back up. You always get caught. Why do so many of the betrayed still make excuses for the behavior of the infidel? Your wife, STBX I hope, has lied, cheated, betrayed, deceived and manipulated to her advantage, not yours. This was done not once but twice, at least, without consequence. Your thoughts, feelings, needs did not enter into her equations. Also, you are incredibly naive if you think they didn't engage in intercourse. Of course they did. You've carried water for her the whole time, protected her, believed her, accepted her mountains of disrespect to you and your marriage, and you still believe she is a good person. The only thing I can think of that drives you and betrays you is fear. Fear of the future, fear of being alone, fear of not being good enough, fear of a broken home. So you do whatever mental gymnastics you have to do to make it all right, or at least palatable. Please don't come back to this sub looking for more advice in a few months when you take her back and she inevitably commits marital treason again. A part of you knows what you have to do: protect yourself, your kids, whatever assets you can, and expose her. That is the only way forward. Otherwise you will continue to wallow in a grey twilight of uncertainty and fear. Your words on fear have value. Mental gymnastics, on point. Thanks for your words. Yep, staying is going to be the toughest thing you do in your life. I don't see how you can, but you could divorce and start over with her. Or do a post-nup. I don't care for all the excuses. She made choices daily. List of lies is so long. Definitely not your best friend anymore. Your comment about best friend just hit me right between the eyes. So true, never thought of that. Wow. You've got time to figure it out. There is no pressure. I think you will ultimately come to the conclusion that your marriage, as you know it, is over. It would be very hard to come back from this, and you deserve better. The marriage I knew is definitely over. The woman I was married to has changed forever. I am looking at this as, am I willing to marry this new person I've shared so much history with? Thing is, history doesn't go away married or not, but you can't build a marriage on just nostalgia, not a long-term happy one anyway. I mean, what would you advise a friend to do? Would you expect anyone else in your life to put up with that level of dishonesty for the sake of history? These 2 books will help with those questions. Cheating in a Nutshell and Leave a Cheater Gain a Life. Get them, start reading. Greater than I'm having a really hard time understanding how I can continue this marriage with so much betrayal and deceit. I cannot imagine. And the family was damaged. You seem kid-focused, and to me, that's the right thing. This is a decision you have to make for yourself. This sub is generally not pro-reconciliation, but you have my support no matter what you decide. Both ways are hard. Greater than anyone out there experience anything like this. Lots of us, me included, have experience with spouses having an affair, making promises, and continuing to have a secret life. The in the family thing is new, but I don't know that it's really any different in impact to 2 marriages. Greater than adding more here, she is incredibly remorseful, and a complete wreck. Ashamed, disgusted at herself. She wants the marriage bad. Was she remorseful the first time? Because mine was. She was remorseful the second time. Went and got counseling and saw a pastor. Third time? Remorseful. Tears. Didn't want to lose her family, so sorry. Reality was she could not stop. If she really went no contact for more than about a week, she'd get depressed and be unable to function. The reality is that your wife is in a 2 to 3 year relationship, at least, and when that goes away, she's not going to be able to act like nothing happened. Here's what I'd do, and did. If she wants another shot, she signs a post-nup with very favorable terms, for you. You can't pre/post-nup kids, but you can sign, perhaps, a parenting agreement that sets terms, like 50-50, if you do get divorced. But the property side of things can be pretty substantial, it just can't be unconscionable. In our case, I was able to do asset division up front, basically financial divorce, which made things a lot easier. Have her put more skin in the game because the risk of destroying multiple families isn't enough risk for he now. Same advice as others, men do not have 2 to 3 year one-way sex affairs. Ever. She's lying. But in the grand scheme of things, it makes 0 difference. How far away does Uncle live? If anywhere within 2 hours, I'd strongly consider relocating somewhere far away. And ever attending a family function where both of them can be in the same space. Post-nup is being discussed, and I think it's the right thing to do, as I am self-employed, so I want her to forfeit all claims to the business. Also like to agree on the alimony piece now. We're not terribly far away for lifetime alimony, so we would need to limit that. And I also agree with the psychological impact on her. There will be withdrawals. And she's shown that she cannot keep a promise to stay faithful. I don't think we have much to add to the things you are doing. Just be self-aware when you are backsliding. A 2-year adulterous relationship is a parallel life. You say she's a good person otherwise, but you need a wife/lover, not a mother. You are married to a wife, and she's a terrible wife. The reason why she's a wreck is not because she cheated on you, but because of the consequences. Few cheaters are given a chance to redeem themselves, and what did she do with that? You believe there was never any intercourse sneaking around over years? I'm sorry you are in a fog too. Hope you the best for the sake of yourself and kids. I think your wife is irredeemable. This is about self-respect and honor. Your wife has to go. Dude, she is still minimizing and lying to you. He did not trick, force, or make your wife be unfaithful, and yes, there was lots of intercourse. She played every one. Be strong and move on without both of them. This is your reward for not outing them years ago. She doesn't love you, man, and you deserve better. Good luck. Bro, you a damn BTA, you've made your grown wife a victim. WTF, she made those designs. Take a couple of weeks or months to make a decision with a clear mind and not be overrun with emotions. Next, do not hide the truth anymore and tell the family how disgusting your uncle is. Show your uncle's wife all of the proof you have. Precisely what I'm doing. His wife and their 4 kids all know. My brother, sister, and parents know. There are 2 more sets of aunts, uncles, cousins in my family, my dad's 2 other siblings, who do not know. But will likely come to know if I divorce. Until then, I'm not telling anyone else in case we reconcile. I've only told one friend, which is probably why I posted this for more advice.